Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
You know, you got a brand new album out, and I've been listening to this thing, Good Day for Living. You got some great songs on here, and you kind of bounce between, you know, traditional country that you're known for, but you got a few rocking songs on here too, Joe.
Yeah, you know, it's a good mix. You know, it's kind of always the goal, you know, when putting out an album is, you know, how do we make some old school feel like I'm used to, traditional country. Yeah. How do we bring that into today and kind of make an album feel like it's not too much of a departure from what, you know, you would hear today. So I think this album is very special in a lot of ways, and you nailed it on the mix of songs. There's some old school stuff on there, like 1 2 Step Closer, which is, for me, it reminds me of that 90s country in you know, in the clubs when everybody's doing cha-chas and
right.
2 steps, you know, it's that's what it kind of reminds me of. And there's some really country stuff on this record that I hope everybody likes, the throwback stuff. And like you said, there's some newer feeling stuff. And the single Good Day for Living, I think feels like me, you know, feels like several of the songs that I've had at radio that have worked, you know, like Give Me That Girl and some other fun stuff. Yeah. You know, and like I said, I'm very, very proud of this album. Thank you for the compliment too.
Well, you know, I got to bring this up too. You got a special guest on here with Blake Shelton, which is never, you know, yeah. I wish you could have brought on a friend that had some, you know, country music star appeal, but I guess Blake is going to work for that.
Well, you know, I figured I'd try to help his career a little bit. You know, the guy's struggling, you know. Yeah, he's a good friend, man. I'll tell you what, he's got so many irons in the fire, and he's so busy with, you know, that huge television show, and he's making records of his own and wow. touring and all that kind of stuff. For him to take a minute out to come and be a part of this album, that's really, really cool of him to do. You know, I'm pretty sure that guy doesn't need a duet with me in any part of his schedule, but I'm really thankful that he did. And it came out great. That song, I Got Friends That Do, I think it came out fantastic. Fun song.
You guys sound so good together, but you know what it reminded me of too, Joe, was the Dolly Parton duet that you did years ago. Oh, yeah. You know, which once again, you know, it's like, you can never go wrong. You know, it's like, you just rub a little Dolly on it. And it's like you and Dolly worked so well with that duet.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't agree more with that analogy there. You know, everything's better with a little Dolly on it, man. I love her to death. You know, we speaking of her, we have a duet on her new project for the book. You know, it's called Lost and Found. Our song together is for her book. I think it's Run, Run, Run. I think that's what it's called. Yeah. She wrote with James Patterson, I believe. But great project and great song with her. Always love singing with her. She's, like you said, she's just everything's better with Dolly on it. I remember when I got in the studio and heard her voice on that track, and she's waiting for me to come in and do my part. I'm just sitting there, just kind of starstruck, like, oh man, it's one of those moments in life where you just go, singing with Dolly, man. Never thought I'd do this twice now. But yeah, man, the Blake song on the album, I Got Friends That Do, is one of my favorite tracks on there because it's fun, it's country, it's got a fun tempo. You know, I think it's easy to listen to, and you know, we're not too big of idiots, but we're kind of idiots on there. You know? It
sounds like guys having fun, man. You can tell you're friends. And with the 13 songs on here, I think what I really enjoyed about it, Joe, that harkens back, I think, to your earlier albums that you had so many hits on, is that your voice really comes through. The mix is great. And I know you're working with, you know, the team that you used to work with years ago and with the record label. And so it's sort of like, you know, you're putting the band back together.
Yes, that's absolutely the way to put it. The guys that produced this record, Mickey Jack Cones and Derek George, produced Crickets together with me back in 2013, Sunny in 75. And Hard to Be Cool. And that was one of my favorite albums. And this feels a lot like that. Actually, it feels like a couple of my older albums. But I'll tell you what, the most important part of this whole thing has been Benny Brown. He's the president of the label, owner of the label. And he actually started Broken Bow, which I was signed to Red Bow Records back in 2012. And that's where I did Crickets and Never Gets Old. And so, you know, he put together all these songs, you know, for this album. And we spent a few hours listening to a lot of songs at his house. And such a thrilling deal when he called me and said, I want you to be part of my new label that I put together. Wow. And we're going to get back together with the guys that that we know worked well together in the studio. And so all the songs came together from Benny. The team got together from Benny, and I couldn't be more thankful to that man. He's always so great to me. And here we are with a new album with new music. Great album, I think, in my opinion, anyway.
Definitely.
And thanks to those guys.
Well, I got to bring this up too, Joe, to where some people don't realize your incredible history, that you started out as like a radio DJ and you were signed at only 19 years of age. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was a disc jockey. I did overnights on a radio station in Springdale, Arkansas called Beaver 105. And it was today's hot new country. And I got fired eventually for playing other things than today's hot new country. My program director kept listening to the station at 3:00 in the morning. He'd catch me playing Merle and George Jones and stuff he said he hadn't programmed in 20 years. So I eventually got fired for that. But yeah, I was signed on a little bitty tiny record label that it consisted of two staff members. There was a president of the label and a publicity guy. And they were great to me. And I was signed out of Arkansas and had a little bit of independent success and got a little taste for the music business. Mm-hmm. And I still lived in Arkansas at the time, and that propelled me to kind of want to move to Nashville and do it on a bigger scale. And in 2002, I got my first major label release.
Well, and so many, hit songs too, Joe, because I know when you're going to be going back out on tour this year, obviously playing all, from the new album, but, people know you so well from like Tequila Makes Her Clothes Fall Off, all of your singles that have done so well that, once again, it's fun music. And I think in this time, people are looking for a release with great new music like yours.
Yeah. I heard somebody say the other day, I swear it was the nicest compliment. And thank you for that compliment. To be a consistent artist, a reliable artist, somebody that can offer the same sound or the same, feeling over, gosh, it's been 20 years now. That's a big compliment. I heard somebody say that. And my wife put this one time, we saw Randy Travis. We did a show with Randy Travis, and she said something really important to me. She said, listening to him sing and listening to his songs, we were on the side of the stage watching the show. She said, it's like being with old friends that you've known all your life. It's just like being in a room and catching up with people you've known your whole life. And she goes, that's the feeling I get. And I was like, man, that's the kind of artist you want to be. You want to have that kind of connection with fans, with the country fans out there, that they feel like this is a guy I've spent my life with. And this guy I've spent knowing like an old friend, or his music is like old friends, to me. So that to me is always a mission. And boy, I sure like hearing people say that.
Well, and you are the pride of Rogers, Arkansas also. So you sort of got to live up to that when you're out on the road, and you've toured with Garth Brooks, you've sung with Dolly, you've sung with Blake Shelton. I mean, Joe, these are no small names. I mean, you're performing and singing and walking amongst country music giants.
Well, sure is fun, man. I really thought, I never would have thought actually in a million years, it's this little runt from Rogers, Arkansas that had no real training or any kind of guidance, and just I kind of lucked my way into several things along the way. And I honestly, I don't know. I think God does that sometimes in my life, where I'll just be going through a day, going through emotion, and I'll get a phone call at random out of the blue, and it's Dolly Parton. She say, "Hey, I want you to sing a duet with me." And I said, "Well, where did that come from?" And I appreciate that. It's just stuff like that happens sometimes, and the Garth thing, like I said, I've just been extremely blessed. I think the good Lord has dropped little things along my life that have made me grow as a person, and have also kind of given me little presents here and there, little gifts here and there that I can say, wow, that could have come from nowhere else other than him.
Right. Well, I got to bring this up too, Joe, to where, obviously with the new album, 13 tracks, are you guys going to be, releasing more of the singles out to radio, or are you going to have some music videos? I know you're going to have a huge tour going on this year as well.
We got a tour that's very packed, coming off of a very thin year for everybody in 2020, a thinner year in 2021. A lot of things, still a little slow getting back to normal, but 2022, man, it's guns a-blazing. Everybody's, kind of slammed, and my schedule is probably as thick as it's been in I don't know, maybe 8-10 years. You know, it's a lot of tour, a lot of promotion stuff. Well, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. You know, like the new album, the new singles, and new music kind of as we go. And of course, like I said, the Blake Shelton thing, the Dolly thing. I got a movie coming out that I'm in sometime this year. Yeah, it's a Western that I've spent last spring kind of filming, and I think they're getting close to releasing that. I'm not sure the date on that, but it's called Murdered Immigrant Gulch, and it's a Western. It's an interesting year, and I'm sure thankful to be busy. And I know a lot of people in my situation are just thankful to be busy and out there in front of people and doing what we love. You know, I'd have never sensed a bigger feeling of gratitude from everybody that's out on the road with me and other artists, and just seeing people just thankful to get back to what we all grew up doing, what we all love doing, what we've all been paid to do, you know, for, you know, paying the bills with. Right. I just think, I think everybody's just in a place of gratitude so far. Right. And then I hope it continues like this, man. I hope we have just an incredible a feeling of thankfulness with everything we do going forward.
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, with the brand new album out, the new singles, videos, a song with Dolly, a song with Blake, and a movie coming out. I mean, you're starting off 2022, right, Joe?
Hey, I'm so happy to be here, man. I'll tell you what, I really mean this. I would have never imagined I'd have a career built in country music, or a place in country music as long as I have, you know, for 20 years, to have singles at radio still after, you know, 2 decades. That really feels good, man. I remember all the early interviews that I used to do when that first album came out. People would ask, what's your goal in 5-10 years? And I'd say, man, I just hope to be still doing this in 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. I just pray that I could last that long. And here we are all these years later.
Also, I wanted to bring up for our viewers, Joe, with everything you've got going on and with the tour, and I know people want to come out and see you live, where are the best places for your website, for social media, and everything Joe Nichols?
Well, everything with a blue check mark, you know, is going to be okay. I know there's a lot of different ones that don't have the blue check mark, Twitter and Facebook, and I hate that. But everything with blue check mark, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we just created a TikTok for me, and I don't know what that's going to look like because I'm not much of a dancer these days. So I don't know. Maybe my TikToks will be me not dancing. I don't know what that's going to look like, but should be interesting. Good for a laugh anyway. We'll see what happens.
Well, you know what? I'm sure your fans are going to love it. And like I said, too, there's so many songs on here going through this album that I just love. I mean, you got a lot of radio singles on here, and I'm sure also for playlist and digital and everything. Congratulations on the new album. Like I said, the tracks are great. Your voice sounds incredible. Can't wait to see you on tour, and about this new movie you're going to have rolling out. Joe Nichols, thank you so much for coming on the Rock Interview.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you for your time. I hope it's a big deal. I don't know if I've ended up on the cutting room floor or if it's in the movie. I don't know, but we'll see.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Joe.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you, man.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of a Bobby Bones Show.